and welcome to the 30th episode of Dear Michelle Obama, the podcast, aka Dear Michelle. I am your host, Anonymous. In the last episode, titled Hoop Dreams, I described a decision Waterboy makes that puts him on a collision course with basketball. In this episode, titled Brain Dead Dance, I have an epiphany. A few quick administrative notes. This episode does not contain either the intro letter or the exit note to Michelle Obama. Here, take a listen. I lied. I'm a liar. I lied to myself, only it isn't obvious. When I'm 16 and my health school math teacher calls me a, quote, dumb, ignorant black girl, I decide to hide my love of learning. But nothing, and I do mean nothing, stays hidden for long. One day, months from now, I enroll in an international studies course. I don't always attend. The class is taught by a young, dynamic professor. I'm interested in the topics discussed, but feign disinterest. Wine also takes the class. Her notes help me stay afloat. One day, just before class starts, I casually saunter into the classroom and take my seat. The professor looks me up and down as if she's eyeing an opponent. Today, we discuss the future of international relations. The instructor asks a question. Several students raise their hands high in the air to answer. She asks a related question and ignores every raised hand in the room and calls on me. I tell her I don't care to answer. She tells me that I will answer or fail. The room quiets. My head rises. A long, deep, heavy sigh. And say, you ask a layered question, one that cannot be answered with certainty. Notwithstanding the foregoing, there are three options for the future of international relations. I would like to preface my answer by stating my intent to preserve my preferred option for last. International studies is really... When I finish, she points a single finger in my direction and orders me not to move once the class ends. 40 minutes later, Wine waits with me in the room. The instructor decidedly orders Wine to leave. I ask Wine to wait for me on the stairs. Wine exits, leaving the professor and I alone. The professor demands an explanation. I tell her I don't understand. She says she knows practitioners with PhDs who don't give answers as sophisticated or articulate. She says she reads my papers she sends to her colleagues, each of whom agrees that I have insight well beyond my years. She tells me that she wants to mentor me, to help me to reach my full potential as a student and a person. She calls me an academic superstar in hiding. Terrified that I've been outed, I weep. This is not the response the professor expects. She backs away. I recommend she mentor another student, and I name Wine. I tell her that I'm uncomfortable with this discussion. She tells me that the field of international studies and the world needs my insight and that she's not at all fooled by my antics. She tells me that she's spoken with my other instructors and they all agree that intellectually I deserve to attend OASIS, but they cannot convince me to care about my education. Weeping now turns into an ugly cry. She asks why I hide gifts other people would kill to have. I long, heavy sigh and tell her the story. When I'm done, the professor clenches her fist and pounds on the desk. She wants names. She tells me she plans to find those instructors and kick their asses. I refuse to give them to her. She pleads with me not to let their ignorance burden me. I tell her that she's white and female and will never understand what it is like for me to have been born at the intersection of being black and female and poor, but also intelligent. I tell her that I don't hide my gifts because I'm ashamed of them or because I don't realize their value. I tell her that the world sees me as black and female and assumes I am unsophisticated and poor. I tell her that the world has not yet evolved to the point where collectively black women are seen as intelligent. I tell her that trash mouth's words wound me in a way I do not fully or completely yet understand. I hide to cope. She promises to help me get accepted into Harvard or Yale for postgraduate studies in the field of my choosing if I just agree to perform at my very best and attend classes with regularity. I decline her offer. Why choose to live the lie? Why choose to give those bastards what they want, she asks. I tell her that the lie only hurts me. No, she screams. It suffers the world. She promises to fail me if I don't attend her classes. I dry my eyes, lower my head, nod my consent, and exit. By the time the semester ends, I earn a C. The year I enter Oasis, Michelle Obama graduates cum laude from Princeton University. I am academically gifted, but paralyzed by fear. Living this lie is easier than having the courage to commit to academic excellence. Michelle Obama is rewarded by, with, and for hers. I was once punished for the same, and in return, I now punish myself. I live with this charade, with these lies, and I've done so for such a long time that I have a hard time peeling away the mask. I'm afraid to look at myself in the mirror without the benefit of pretending to be dumb. I'm afraid of not only what I will see, but what I won't. The lies we tell ourselves protect us from the reality that the only one holding us back, the only one standing in our way, is us. It's difficult to admit that the lie absolves me of responsibility and cloaks me in excuses. The evidence of this lie is the fact that I enroll in Oasis. People who choose to academically hide can do so at any number of community colleges. They can do so at state schools. There's nothing wrong with these schools. They produce fine academics who owe far less debt. So it begs the question, if I plan to hide my intelligence, why choose one of the most academically rigorous schools in the nation? There are far less expensive and lower ranked options. The truth is, I've lied to myself for so long that I don't know what's real and what's not. What I know is that Oasis is steeped in history, one that involves the acceptance of blacks and women long before its predominantly white counterparts make similar decisions. The all-black dorm where I live is the result of African American students demanding a separate space to live and eat and love and grow away from the prying eyes of their white peers. Before each meal served in the cafeteria housed in the all-black dorm, homage paid to African and African American cultural roots. There's no shortage of black intellectuals and celebrities who visit as lecturers and break bread with the students who attend. Academic rigor isn't just expected of students here, it's demanded. It's incorporated into the very fabric of what it means to attend. When I look back over the years I spent at Oasis, I'm saddened that I don't live up to my full potential. If only because the thousands of black intellectuals who come before me and who come after me paved the way for me to be here, and their sacrifices demand my very best. Instead, I let fear stand in the way. In so doing, I ignore my grandmothers who make me stand in the center of their living rooms and read aloud. I ignore my mama teaching me to read at 2 years old. I let two broken, miserable, bigoted white men convince me that their ideas of me are more important than my own. And I never once stopped to consider whether they are wrong or that I'm wrong for believing them. But I am. Michelle Obama and Kamala Harris and Oprah Winfrey and hundreds of thousands of other successful black women who are my contemporaries and peers prove it. Decades from now, I course correct, I fix what I broke, and magna cum summa my way out of the academic mess I've made of my life. The one thing all of the naysayers and haters and the venom-mouthed people I encounter cannot take away from me is the one thing I cling to most. It is the one thing I'll never let anyone take from me. What is it, you ask? Well, it's hope. Hello, and thank you for listening to the award-winning Dear Michelle Obama the podcast, aka Dear Michelle. If you like what you heard, like, subscribe, and share. If you wish to contact me, email me at dearmichelle@yahoo.com or tweet me at dearmichelle4. Join me next time for episode 31 titled Bad Girl Stop and learn how I teach Big Bird a lesson she won't soon forget. Until next time, bye-bye.